Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. This is the special college football season predictions 2018 edition of the podcast where I go through the predictions for the season that I made. I'm going to start with the conference predictions and how I think every team is going to finish. And then part 2, I'll be doing bowl projections. And part 3, I'll be doing miscellaneous and bold predictions for every team. Let's get this thing going. The AAC, the American Athletic Conference, Eastern Division. The Central Florida Knights are one of the top group of 5 teams as we head into the season. They have a new coach in Josh Heupel. Mackenzie Milton is the best at his position within the conference. The Memphis Tigers are a team that could be a sleeper in the group of 5 due to their loaded offense featuring quarterback Brady White and the tremendous running back threesome. Even their defense has some talent as well. The Houston Cougars could also be a sleeper group of 5 team this season. Ed Oliver is certainly the best defensive player in the conference and arguably the best defensive player in college football. The Temple Owls are a team that's going to improve in year 2 under Jeff Collins. Senior quarterback Frank Natili is solid at his position and one of the best in the conference. The South Florida Bulls are a team that, in my opinion, is a bit of a wild card in terms of the group of 5. Their schedule is somewhat favorable, but they will miss former quarterback Quentin Flowers. The Tulane Green Wave will be improved this season with a solid offense and Willie Fritz's 3rd season at the helm. The SMU Mustangs are an interesting team this season under new head coach Sonny Dykes, and their offense will be solid, led by junior quarterback Ben Hicks. The Navy Midshipmen are an interesting team this season. Their schedule is very tricky, although they have a breakout player candidate in quarterback Malcolm Perry. The Tulsa Hurricanes are a tricky team to peg as their schedule is difficult, although I have them going to a bowl game. Their offense will be good, particularly due to a majority of offensive linemen returning. The Cincinnati Bearcats look to improve on last season's 4-8 mark in Luke Fickell's 2nd season as head coach. Senior quarterback Caden Moore is one of the better signal callers in the conference. The East Carolina Pirates are a team in transition as quarterback Gardner Minshew transferred. Trevon Brown is one of the better receivers in the conference, and head coach Scotty Montgomery is on the hot seat. The Connecticut Huskies are a program that's in a major rebuild and in need of talent as Reddy Edsall is in his 2nd season in his 2nd stint as head coach. My predictions on how this conference is going to play out. First place in the East, I have UCF, finishing at 10-2 with a conference record of 6-2. Second place, Temple, with a record of 8-4 and a conference record of 5-3. Third place, South Florida, with a record of 9-3 and a conference record of 5-3. Fourth place, Cincinnati, with a record of 5-7 and a conference record of 2-6. Fifth, East Carolina, I have 2-10 and 1-7 in conference. 6th and last, I have UConn. I'm going 1-11 and 0-8 in conference play. The West, I have Memphis winning the West at 9-3 and going 6-2 in conference. Second place, Houston, 8-4, 5-3 in conference. Third place, Tulane, 6-6, 5-3 in conference. Fourth place, SMU, 6-6, 4-4 in conference. Fifth place, Navy, 7-6. Don't forget, Navy plays 13 games on the season every year. That includes their game against Army, and I have them going 4-4. And 6th, I have Tulsa going 6-6, and the conference record of 4-4. So I have a projected 9 teams from this conference to go to bowl games, which would be something. And in the AAC title game, I have UCF over Memphis. The ACC Atlantic Division, first place, I have Clemson at 12-0, finishing the conference at 8-0. Second place, North Carolina State, 8-4, conference and 5-3. Third place, Louisville, 7-5 on the year, 4-4 in conference. Fourth place, Florida State, 7-5 on the year, 4-4 in conference. Fifth, Wake Forest, 6-6 on the year, 3-5 in conference. Sixth place, Boston College, 6-6 on the year, 3-5 in conference. Seventh place, Syracuse, 5-7 on the year, 2-6 in conference play. The Coastal Division, first place, Miami Hurricanes, 10-2 on the year, 6-2 in conference play. Second place, Duke, 8-4 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Third place, Virginia Tech, 8-4 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Fourth place, North Carolina, 6-6 on the year, 4-4 in conference play. Fifth place, the Virginia Cavaliers, 6-6 on the year, 3-5 in conference play. Sixth place, Georgia Tech, 4-8 in the season, 2-6 in conference play. Seventh place, Pitt, 2-10 on the year, 1-7 in conference play. The Clemson Tigers are one of the two most talented teams in the country. They have the best defense in the sport, led by Christian Wilkins, Dexter Lawrence, and Clyon Farrell on that defensive line, and they have a quality quarterback in Kelly Bryant, although there is talk that he may be replaced throughout the season if he struggles. The Miami Hurricanes should be favored to win the Coastal Division with a very good quarterback in Malik Rozier and the stout defense led by defensive backs Michael Jackson and Jaquan Johnson and defensive end Joe Jackson. The Duke Blue Devils are a popular sleeper pick thanks to a loaded offense led by quarterback Daniel Jones. A tough out-of-conference schedule awaits for Dave Cutcliffe's team, though. The Virginia Tech Hokies are a solid team that is capable of pulling off some upsets. Joe Jackson may not even be the best quarterback on this roster, although he is the projected starter. The North Carolina State Wolfpack could be a sleeper this season as well, thanks to an underrated quarterback in Ryan Finley. The Louisville Cardinals lose a ton, including quarterback Lamar Jackson. They could be a sleeper with two wide receivers that are studs in D. Fitzpatrick and Jalen Smith, and a solid head coach in Bobby Petrino. The Florida State Seminoles are looking to rebound from a disaster of a season a year ago. Jimbo Fisher is out to Texas A&M, and Willie Taggart is in from Oregon, and this team still has a stud running back in Cam Akers and a good quarterback in DeAndre Francois, although Francois might not even be their starting quarterback. The North Carolina Tar Heels look to rebound from a disappointing season a year ago. Larry Fedora is a coach on the hot seat, although they have a fun offense led by running back Michael Carter and receiver and kick returner Anthony Ratliff Williams. The Wake Forest Demon Deacons have been a frisky team the last few seasons, but their schedule is difficult this year, although I have them pegged for a bowl game. Their offense will be fun to watch with some key returning starters such as running back Matt Colburn and wide receiver and returner Greg Dortch. The Boston College Eagles could be a sleeper in the conference this season due to star running back A.J. Dillon. The Virginia Cavaliers surprised some folks last season, but a step back for Bronco Mendenhall's team won't shock me. They have a fun offense led by quarterback Bryce Perkins. Some people feel that the Syracuse Orange will make a jump this season. I feel that Dino Babers' team is a year or two away, although they have a senior quarterback in Eric Dungy. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets have a challenging schedule that may keep them out of a bowl game this season, although Paul Johnson can coach and Taquan Marshall is a solid quarterback. The Pittsburgh Panthers are the worst team in this conference, perhaps, and Pat Narduzzi is a coach on the hot seat. Darren Hall is a solid running back, and young quarterback Kenny Prickett is promising. ACC championship game, I have Clemson over Miami. Big Ten East. First place, Penn State, 11-1 on the year, 8-1 in conference. Second place, Ohio State, 10-2 on the year, 7-2 in conference. Third place, Michigan, 9-3 on the year, 7-2 in conference. Fourth place, Michigan State, 9-3 on the year, 6-3 in conference. Fifth place, Indiana, 6-6 on the year, 3-6 in conference play. Sixth place, Rutgers, 4-8 on the year, 2-7 in conference play. Seventh place, Maryland, 3-9 on the year, 2-7 in conference play. West. First place, the Wisconsin Badgers, 9-3 on the year, 6-3 in conference play. Second place, the Iowa Hawkeyes, 8-4 on the year, 5-4 in conference play. Third place, Minnesota, 8-4 on the year, 5-4 in conference play. Fourth place, Nebraska, 7-5 on the year, 4-5 in conference play. Fifth place, Northwestern, 6-6 on the year, 4-5 in conference play. Sixth place, Purdue, 6-6 on the year, 3-6 in conference play. Seventh place, Illinois, 2-10 on the year, 0-9 in conference play. The Penn State Nittany Lions are a real threat to win this conference, and they have a tough schedule, but some of those hard games are in Happy Valley. They'll miss Saquon Barkley, but I believe in quarterback Trace McSorley. The Ohio State Buckeyes are a very talented team, but are dealing with some turmoil with Urban Meyer on administration leave and now going to be suspended the first 3 games of the season due to the ongoing Zach Smith saga. Running back J.K. Dobbins will lead what should be an improved offense with the quarterback upgrade, and Nick Bosa is one of the best defensive players in the country and will lead that defense. The Michigan Wolverines could win this conference, but a tough schedule awaits. Shea Patterson is a quarterback upgrade, and their defense will be good, led by Rashawn Gary. The Wisconsin Badgers are easily the favorites to win the West Division and have a legit chance to represent the conference in the college football playoff, but a tough schedule awaits. Paul Christ's team is loaded with talent on both ends of the ball, with Jonathan Taylor running the ball on offense behind a stout offensive line, and the defense is loaded too, led by linebacker T.J. Edwards. The Michigan State Spartans are yet another team from this conference that wouldn't shock me if they won it. Brian Lewerke is a solid quarterback, and running back L.J. Scott is solid too. The Iowa Hawkeyes could be a conference spoiler yet again this season. Quarterback Nate Stanley is solid, and he'll lead a very good offense that has an underrated tight end in Noah Fant. The Minnesota Golden Gophers are a team that cannot be slept on with a favorable schedule in P.J. Fleck's second season at the helm. Their offense will be very good, led by running back Rodney Smith. The Nebraska Cornhuskers have a new head coach in Scott Frost, and with a favorable schedule, I can see them finishing above 500. They have a great wideout duo in Stanley Morgan Jr. and G.J. Spielman. The Northwestern Wildcats always have been a spoiler these last few seasons, but their schedule is difficult, and so don't rule out the possibility of them not being bowl eligible. Clayton Thorson is a solid quarterback, and their defense is one of the better ones in the conference. The Purdue Boilermakers look to improve on last season's bowl season win. Jeff Brom has a good offensive system and has a good quarterback in David Blough. The Indiana Hoosiers look to improve from last season's 5-7 mark and get to a bowl. It's possible, but a hard schedule awaits, and they need improvement from quarterback Peyton Ramsey. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights are a program that's heading in the right direction, but are a few seasons away. Senior tight end Jerome Washington is one of the better ones in the conference. The Maryland Terrapins are dealing with some tragedy and turmoil, too, with the death of Jordan McNair and head coach D.J. Durkin being placed on administration leave in the wake of this. On the field, they'll be able to score some points thanks to a good offense led by running back and kick punt returner Ty Johnson. The Illinois Fighting Illini are the worst team in this conference, and Lovie Smith is a coach on the hot seat. Senior tight end Lewis Dorsey is a solid player, though. Big Ten championship game, I have Penn State over Wisconsin. Big 12. First place, I have TCU at 9-3 and 7-2 in the conference. Second place, Oklahoma, 9-3 on the year, 6-3 in conference. Third place, Oklahoma State, 9-3 in conference, 6-3. Well, 9-3 on the year, 6-3 in conference. Fourth place, West Virginia, 9-3 on the year, 6-3 in conference. Fifth place, Texas, 8-4 on the year, 5-4 in conference. Sixth place, Iowa State, 7-5 on the year, 5-4 in conference. Seventh place, Kansas State, 7-5 on the year, 4-5 in conference. Eighth place, Texas Tech, 4-8 on the year, 3-6 in conference play. Ninth place, Baylor, 5-7 on the year, 2-7 in conference play. In last place, Kansas, 2-10 on the year and 0-9 in conference play. The TCU Horned Frogs are a team that many are sleeping on. Gary Peterson has a ton of talent on both sides of the ball, with running back Darius Anderson and receivers Cavante Turpin and Jalen Rager on offense, and linebacker Ty Summers and defensive end Ben Badigo on the defensive side. The Oklahoma Sooners are the consensus favorites in this conference, but I believe the team will miss Baker Mayfield, and that will result in a bit of a step back from a record standpoint. Rodney Anderson is one of the better running backs in the country, and Kyler Murray may live up to the hype that he is getting. The Oklahoma State Cowboys may be better than expected, although they lost Mason Rudolph. Mike Gundy is an excellent coach and gets a lot out of his players, and don't sleep on running back Justice Hill. The West Virginia Mountaineers are a legit sleeper team this season. Their offense will be among the best in the country, with Will Grier under center and talented receivers Dave Sills V and Greg Jennings Jr. The Texas Longhorns are a team many expect to bounce back in year two under Tom Herman. Their offense could be good despite quarterback questions with a stud receiver in Colin Johnson, and there's a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball with defensive end Brecklin Hager, linebacker Gary Johnson, and defensive back Chris Boyd. The Ohio State Cyclones look to build on a successful season from a year ago. Matt Campbell has a ton of talent on both ends of the ball with quarterback Kyle Kempt and running back David Montgomery, and defensively with corner Brian Peavy. The Kansas State Wildcats are always an interesting team as long as Bill Snyder is around. Their offense will be good with a good line and a good running back in Alex Barnes, and also have the talent on defense. The Texas Tech Red Raiders are a team that is under pressure since head coach Cliff Kingsbury is on the hot seat. Running back Delon Ward and receiver TJ Vasher will lead the way offensively, and their defense isn't great at all. The Baylor Bears look to bounce back from a disastrous season from a year ago. Their offense should be solid with wide receiver Denzel Mims back. The Kansas Jayhawks are a program that's perhaps the worst in the country in terms of Power 5 teams. Dave Beatty is a coach on the hot seat, although he has a nice, talented offensive weapon in kick and punt returner Steven Sims Jr. Big 12 championship game, I have Oklahoma over TCU. Conference USA, Eastern Division. First place, I have FAU at 9-3 on the year, 7-1 in conference. Second place, Old Dominion, 8-4 on the year, 6-2 in conference. Third place, Western Kentucky, 7-5 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Fourth place, Middle Tennessee, 6-6 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Fifth place, Marshall, 5-7 on the year, 4-4 in conference play. Sixth place, FIU, 4-8 on the year, 2-6 in conference play. Seventh place, Charlotte, 1-11 on the year, 1-7 in conference play. Western Division, first place, UAB, 8-4 on the year, 6-2 in conference play. Second place, Southern Miss, 8-4 on the year, 6-2 in conference play. Third place, UTSA, 6-6 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Fourth place, North Texas, 7-5 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Fifth place, Louisiana Tech, 6-6 on the year, 4-4 in conference play. Sixth place, Rice, 2-10 on the year, 1-7 in conference play. Seventh place, UTEP, 1-11 on the year, 0-8 in conference play. The Florida Atlantic Owls are the favorites in this conference after a great year last season and the return of star running back David Singletary and a great defense led by linebacker Azeez Al-Sher. The UAB Blazers are my pick to win the West Division with a favorable schedule and a great offense led by quarterback A.J. Adderley and running back Spencer Brown. The Southern Miss Eagles can win the West Division with a favorable schedule and a solid defense led by Picasso Nelson Jr. The Old Dominion Monarchs are a solid team with a very good defense led by defensive end O'Shane Zimes. The UTSA Roadrunners are a team people are sleeping on this season with talent on both sides of the ball with running back Jalen Rhodes and linebacker Josiah Tafala. The North Texas Mean Green are a team many think will win the West Division courtesy of a great offense led by quarterback Mason Fine. The Western Kentucky Hilltoppers could be a sleeper in the conference with a favorable schedule, although they lost a ton but still have a great tight end in McQuan Dean. The Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders should be solid with a good offense led by quarterback Brent Stockstill. The Louisiana Tech Bulldogs have talent such as wideout Teddy Veal and defensive lineman Jalen Ferguson, but a difficult schedule waits ahead of them. The Marshall Thundering Herd could be a factor in this conference with a good offense with players such as wideout Tyler Brady, but their schedule is hard. The Florida International Panthers will take a step back this season, although they have a nice quarterback in James Morgan. The Charlotte 49ers won't be good whatsoever, although they have two nice defensive players in defensive back Ben DeLuca and linebacker Juwan Foggy. The Rice Owls are among the worst teams in the country, although they have a new head coach in Mike Bloomgren. And the same goes for the UTEP Miners with a new head coach in Dana Dimel. Conference USA Championship game, I have Florida Atlantic over Alabama Birmingham. Independence, I have Notre Dame going 11-1, Army going 8-4, New Mexico State going 7-5, fourth place UMass at 6-6, fifth place BYU at 6-6, and Liberty, who is a new member to the FBS, coming in sixth at 2-10. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish are a real threat to make the college football playoff with a loaded roster on both sides of the ball. Quarterback Brandon Wimbush is a Heisman Trophy dark horse, and their defense is loaded too with guys like defensive tackle Jerry Tillery, linebacker Tavon Connie, and cornerback Julian Love. The Army Black Knights will be improved with a great offense led by running back Darnell Woolfolk. The New Mexico State Aggies are a new independent team, but they have a favorable schedule ahead of them and a good offense led by running back Jason Huntley. The Massachusetts Minutemen are a team that should be improved with a great offense led by quarterback Andrew Ford. The BYU Cougars look to bounce back from a disappointing season from a year ago, and their offense should be much improved with a lot of starters back, including quarterback Tanner Mangum. The Liberty Flames are new to the FBS, so expect some growing pains and adjustment periods from Turner Gill's squad. Next, we have the MAC East Division. First place, Ohio, 8-4 on the year, 6-2 in conference play. Second, Buffalo, 8-4 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Third, Miami of Ohio, 5-7 on the year, 4-4 in conference play. Fourth place, Akron, 4-8 on the year, 3-5 in conference play. Fifth place, Bowling Green, 3-9 on the year, 2-6 in conference play. Sixth place, Kent State, 1-11 on the year, 0-8 in conference play. West Division. First place, Northern Illinois, 7-5 on the year, 7-1 in conference play. Second place, Eastern Michigan, 7-5 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Third place, Toledo, 7-5 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Fourth place, Central Michigan, 4-8 on the year, 3-5 in conference play. Fifth place, Ball State, 4-8 on the year, 3-5 in conference play. Sixth place, Western Michigan, 4-8 on the year, 2-6 in conference play. Many people like the Ohio Bobcats to win this conference with a very good offense led by quarterback Nathan Rook. The Northern Illinois Huskies are my pick to win the West Division with talent on both sides of the ball, including defensive end Sutton Smith. The Buffalo Bulls will be improved this season with a great offense featuring stud receiver Anthony Johnson. The Eastern Michigan Eagles will be improved this season with a lot of key returnees, including defensive end Max Crosby. The Toledo Rockets will be a factor in this conference too with their good offense featuring two stud receivers in Deontay Johnson and Cody Thompson. The Miami Redbirds aren't that bad of a team with a great offense led by quarterback Gus Ragland, but they have a difficult schedule ahead of them. The Central Michigan Chippewas lost a lot of talent from last season, but they still have talented defensive lineman Mitch Stanizek. Some people expect the Ball State Cardinals to improve thanks to an offense that should be good led by quarterback Riley Neal. The Western Michigan Broncos have some talent such as running back Jamari Bogon, but their schedule is difficult. The Akron Zips are in a bit of a rebuild, but they have some good players on the defensive side of the ball in linebacker Ulysses Gilbert and cornerback Kyron Brown. The Bowling Green Falcons are a team in a rebuild as well, but they'll have a solid offense led by quarterback Jared Dogue. The Kent State Golden Flashes are one of the worst teams in the country and have a new head coach in Sean Lewis. The MAC championship game, I have Ohio over Northern Illinois. The Mountain West Conference, Mountain Division. First place, Boise State, 10-2 on the season, 7-1 in conference play. Second place, Wyoming, 9-3 on the year, 6-2 in conference play. Third place, Colorado State, 7-5 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Fourth place, Utah State, 6-6 on the year, 4-4 in conference play. Fifth place, Air Force, 5-7 on the year, 3-5 in conference play. Sixth place, New Mexico, 2-10 on the year, 0-8 in conference play. West Division. First place, San Diego State, 8-4 on the year, 6-2 in conference play. Second place, Fresno State, 7-5 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Third place, UNLV, 6-6 on the year, 4-4 in conference play. Fourth place, Nevada, 6-6 on the year, 4-4 in conference play. Fifth place, Hawaii, 4-9 on the year. Don't forget, Hawaii plays 13 games every year, and I have them going 2-6 in conference play. Sixth place, San Jose State, 1-11 on the year, 0-8 in conference play. The Boise State Broncos are the team to beat in this conference thanks to a ton of talent on both ends of the ball and quarterback Brett Ripon, defensive lineman David Moa, and defensive back Tyler Horton. The Wyoming Coyotes may have lost Josh Allen on offense, but their defense will be loaded thanks to defensive tackle Johanna Gafayan, defensive end Carl Granderson, and safety Andrew Wingard. The San Diego State Aztecs are my pick to win the West Division with a very good offense led by quarterback Christian Chapman. The Fresno State Bulldogs look to build on last season's success and have a very good offense led by quarterback Marcus McMaryion. The Nevada of Las Vegas Rebels are a team I expect to improve this season thanks to an offense that features one of the better running backs in the conference in Lexington Thomas. The Nevada Wolfpack are a team that is loaded offensively led by quarterback Ty Gangi, and they have a defensive talent too in linebacker Malik Reed and defensive back Damian Bader. The Colorado State Rams will be able to light up scoreboards with their offense led by quarterback KJ Carta-Samuels. The Utah State Aggies could be a factor in the conference with a solid offense with one of the better tight ends in the conference in Dax Raymond. The Air Force Falcons could play some spoiler this season with a good home field advantage and a solid coach in Troy Calhoun. The New Mexico Lobos are a team that have taken a step back, although they have a good running back in Tyrone Owens, and their head coach, who I like, Bob Davies, is a coach that I feel is on the hot seat now. The Hawaii Rainbow Warriors are a team folks think will be among the worst in the country this season, and coach Nick Rolovich is on the hot seat. The San Jose State Spartans are one of the worst teams in the country and have a new head coach in Brent Brennan. The Mountain West Championship game, I have Boise State over San Diego State. Pac-12, North Division. First place, Washington, 9-3 on the year, 7-2 in conference. Second place, Oregon, 9-3 on the year, 6-3 in conference. Third place, Stanford, 8-4 on the year, 6-3 in conference. Fourth place, Washington State, 6-6 on the year, 4-5 in conference. Fifth place, California, 6-6 on the year, 4-5 in conference. Sixth place, Oregon State, 1-11 on the year, 0-9 in conference play. South Division, first place, the Utah Utes, 9-3 on the year, 6-3 in conference play. Second place, Arizona, 9-3 on the year, 6-3 in conference play. Third place, USC, 7-5 on the year, 5-4 in conference play. Fourth place, Colorado, 6-6 on the year, 4-5 in conference play. Fifth place, UCLA, 5-7 on the year, 3-6 in conference play. Sixth place, Arizona State, 3-9 on the year, 2-7 in conference play. The Washington Huskies are a very talented team on both sides of the ball. Quarterback Jake Browning and running back Myles Gaskin lead the way offensively, and on the other side of the ball, safety Taylor Rapp, defensive tackle Greg Gaines, and linebacker Tavis Bartlett lead the way on defense. The Utah Utes are my pick to win the South Division. Their offense should be solid, led by quarterback Tyler Hunty and running back Zach Moss, and have a great defense led by linebacker Chase Hansen and Julian Blackman, and defensive end Bradley Anae. The Arizona Wildcats are a team folks feel that will be a sleeper due to the presence of new head coach Kevin Sumlin and quarterback Khalil Tate. Their defense has some talent too, such as linebacker Colin Schooler. The Oregon Ducks are a team that will make some noise this season in Mario Cristobal's first year as head coach. Quarterback Justin Herbert will be a Heisman candidate, and even their defense has talent too, such as defensive end Jalen Jelks and linebacker Troy Dye. The Stanford Cardinal will be a factor in this conference as well, with KJ Costello possibly being a breakout quarterback this season, and having Bryce Love to hand the ball off to certainly helps. Their defense should be solid too, led by cornerback Elijah Holder and linebacker Bobby Okerke. The USC Trojans will take a step back this season with the departure of Sam Darnold, and there's pressure on Clay Helton this season. JT Daniels replaces Darnold under center, and their defense has some talent too, with guys like linebacker Cameron Smith and cornerback Amon Marshall. The Colorado Buffaloes are a team that cannot be slept on and have some talent and darn good head coach in Mike McIntyre. Quarterback Steven Montez will lead the offense, and the defense has some talent too, with defensive back Nick Fisher and defensive end Chris Malumba. The Washington State Huskies are a team many folks believe will take a step back. Quarterback Gardner Minshew will lead the offense, and safety Jalen Thompson and linebacker Peyton Pooler are solid players on defense. The California Golden Bears found themselves a nice head coach in Justin Wilcox. They have talent on both sides of the ball, with quarterback Ross Bowers and running back Patrick Laird leading the way on offense, and guys like Jordan Kunstak on defense. The UCLA Bruins are a program in transition with Chip Kelly at the helm now. Josh Rosen will be missed on offense, but they still have a quality tight end in Caleb Wilson. Meanwhile, their defense is a work in progress. The Arizona State Sun Devils are in a bit of a transition period with new head coach Herm Edwards. This team will have a good offense, though, led by quarterback Manny Wilkins, and have some talent defensively in linebacker Karan Crump and defensive back Chase Lucas. The Oregon State Beavers have a new head coach in Jonathan Smith, but it's going to be a while before they turn a corner. At least they'll have a fun offense led by quarterback Jake Luton. Pac-12 championship game, I have Washington over Utah. The SEC, Eastern Division, I have Georgia in first, coming in at 12-0 on the year, 8-0 in conference. Second place, Florida, 7-5 on the year, 4-4 in conference. Third place, South Carolina, 7-5 on the year, 4-4 in conference. Fourth place, Missouri, 7-5 on the year, 4-4 in conference play. Fifth place, Kentucky, 7-5 on the year, 4-4 in conference play. Sixth place, Vanderbilt, 6-6 on the year, 3-5 in conference play. Seventh place, Tennessee, 4-8 on the year, 1-7 in conference play. West Division, first place, Alabama, 12-0 on the year, 8-0 in conference play. Second place, Mississippi State, 9-3 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Third place, Auburn, 9-3 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Fourth place, LSU, 7-5 on the year, 4-4 in conference play. Fifth place, Texas A&M, 6-6 on the year, 3-5 in conference play. Sixth place, Arkansas, 5-7 on the year, 2-6 in conference play. Seventh place, Ole Miss, 5-7 on the year, 1-7 in conference play. The Alabama Crimson Tide come into the season as the conference favorites and perhaps the favorites to repeat as national champions. Tua Tagovailoa should be the starting quarterback over Jalen Hurts, and running back Damian Harris is back too. And on the defensive side of the football, linebackers Fernie Jennings and Mack Wilson, along with defensive end Raekwon Davis, return. The Georgia Bulldogs have a legit shot to win this conference as well as the national championship. Jake Fromm is one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and he'll lead their offense, and their defense will be great too, led by defensive end Jonathan Ledbetter, linebacker DeAndre Walker, and cornerback DeAndre Baker. The Mississippi State Bulldogs will be an improved team, even though they have a new coach in Joe Moorhead. Quarterback Nick Fitzgerald will lead the way on offense, and they have talent on the defensive side of the ball, and defensive end Montez Stewart and defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons. The Auburn Tigers will make noise as they have been doing the last few seasons. Quarterback Jarrett Stidham will lead the way offensively, and their defense is legit, led by defensive lineman Derek Brown, linebacker Deshaun Davis, and defensive back Jamel Dean. The LSU Tigers are a wild card in this conference this season. Defense is their strength, led by linebacker Devin White and cornerback Greedy Williams, and their offense must receive good quarterback play if the team wants to be a conference sleeper, but they do have talent on that side of the ball with wideout Jonathan Giles and tight end Foster Moreau. The Florida Gators have a new head coach in Dan Mullen, and they are a bit of a wild card too. Their offense has talent with running back Jordan Scarlett and receiver Tyree Cleveland, but their defense will be very good, led by linebacker David Reese and defensive back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. The South Carolina Gamecocks are an interesting team too. Their offense will be great, led by quarterback Jake Bentley and stud receiver Deebo Samuel, but their defense isn't great, although they have a good defensive end in DJ Wanum and linebacker in TJ Brunson. The Missouri Tigers are an interesting team this season, and head coach Barry Odom is on the hot seat. Drew Lock is one of the underrated quarterbacks in the conference, and they have some defensive talent with defensive tackle Terry Beckner and linebacker Terez Hall. The Kentucky Wildcats should be an interesting and improved team this season with talent on both ends. Running back Benny Snell Jr. leads the way on offense, and their defense is loaded too, led by linebacker Josh Allen and safety Mike Edwards. The Texas A&M Aggies brought in Jimbo Fisher to turn around their program, but it'll be a few years before they are legit. They still have talent on both sides of the ball with running back Trayvon Williams on offense and defensive tackle Kingsley Keek and linebacker Tyrell Dotson on defense. The Vanderbilt Commodores could be a sleeper in the conference, and there's pressure on Derek Mason to have a good year since he's a hot seat coach too. Kyle Shermer is one of the better quarterbacks in the conference, but their defense isn't great despite having a talented linebacker in Charles Wright. The Arkansas Razorbacks have a new head coach in Chad Morris, but have lost some key players from last season. Running backs Chase Hayden and Devois Wally are solid players on offense, and their defense returned the likes of linebackers DeJohn Harris and Dre Greenlaw. The Ole Miss Rebels are in a transition period in Matt Luke's second season. Their offense will be good, led by quarterback Jordan Ta'amu and receiver A.J. Brown, but their defense is a work in progress. The Tennessee Volunteers are in a bit of a rebuild with new head coach Jeremy Pruitt. Former Stanford quarterback Keller Christ will be their starter and will lead them offensively, and they have some talent defensively with defensive lineman Kyle Phillips and safety Nigel Warrior. SEC championship game, I have Alabama over Georgia. Sun Belt, East Division. First place, Georgia Southern, 8-4 on the season, 6-2 in conference play. Second place, Appalachian State, 9-3 on the season, 6-2 in conference play. Third place, Troy, 7-5 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Fourth place, Georgia State, 6-6 on the year, 4-4 in conference play. Fifth place, Coastal Carolina, 1-11 on the year, 0-8 in conference play. West Division. First place, Arkansas State, 8-4 on the year, 6-2 in conference play. Second place, Louisiana Monroe, 6-6 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Third place, Louisiana, 7-5 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Fourth place, South Alabama, 4-8 on the year, 3-5 in conference play. Fifth place, Texas State, 1-11 on the year, 0-8 in conference play. The Georgia Southern Eagles are my pick to win the East Division with a favorable schedule and an offense that will be good, led by running back Wesley Fields. The Arkansas State Red Wolves are the favorites to come out of the West Division, courtesy of a good offense led by quarterback Justice Hansen and a solid defense led by defensive back Justin Clifton. The Appalachian State Mountaineers have talent on both ends, with running back Jalen Moore on offense and defensive back Clayton Duck on defense. The Louisiana Monroe Warhawks should be a vastly improved team this season, thanks to a lights-out offense led by quarterback Caleb Evans. The Troy Trojans should be one of the better teams in the conference, with a great defense led by cornerback Blace Brown, but a difficult schedule lies ahead for them. The Louisiana Raging Cajuns are a team that lost a lot, but still have some talent on both sides of the ball and have a new coach in Bill Napier. The Georgia State Panthers will be solid offensively with the likes of receiver Penny Hart and tight end Cameron Knight. The South Alabama Jaguars have a difficult schedule and don't have that much talent outside of wideout Jamarius Way offensively, and their defense is a work in progress. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers don't have a lot of talent, and with a hard schedule too, head coach Joe Moglia is a coach on the hot seat. The Texas State Bobcats are perhaps the worst team in this conference, and head coach Everett Withers is on the hot seat as well. Sun Belt Championship game, Arkansas State over Georgia Southern. College football playoff. I have Alabama coming in first, second place Clemson, third place Penn State, and then fourth Georgia. Those are my four playoff teams. I have an SEC title game rematch as well as a national title game rematch in the Cotton Bowl with Alabama and Georgia. This should be a dandy. And I think Tua Tagovailoa and the Tide make it 3-for-3 over Jake Fromm, Kirby Smart, and the Georgia Bulldogs. So give me the Tide to roll to the national championship game for the fourth year in a row. So the pick there is Alabama. The Orange Bowl, 2-seeded Clemson against 3-seeded Penn State. This should be a fun game between a stout defense going up against one of the better quarterbacks in the sport in Trace McSorley. I like that Tigers defense with their experience to get by the Nittany Lions to go to their third national title game in 4 seasons. So give me the Clemson Tigers there. The national championship game, 1-seeded Alabama against 2-seeded Clemson. 4 straight seasons of these two programs meeting in postseason play, and 3 times in 4 seasons in this spot. Tua Tagovailoa in that offense against the best defense in the country will be as fun to watch as any matchup you would get to see. That said, I like Tua Tagovailoa and the Tide to repeat as national champions, as Nick Saban will break Bear Bryant's record for most championships won. So give me the Crimson Tide to repeat as national champions. Part 2 of the College Football Predictions Podcast is Bowl Projections. I'm going to start with the College Football Playoff. As I said earlier, Cotton Bowl, I have Alabama as your 1 seed against 4-seeded Georgia. In the Orange Bowl, I have 2-seeded Clemson against 3-seeded Penn State. Rest of the New Year's Six Bowl. In the Peach Bowl, I have Notre Dame and Ohio State. The Fiesta Bowl, I have Boise State and Miami. The Rose Bowl, I have Washington and Wisconsin. The Sugar Bowl, I have Oklahoma and Mississippi State. Other bowl games. The New Mexico Bowl, I have UTSA against Colorado State. The Cure Bowl, I have South Florida against Appalachian State. The Las Vegas Bowl, I have Colorado against San Diego State. Camellia Bowl, I have Northern Illinois against Georgia Southern. New Orleans Bowl, Louisiana Monroe against Western Kentucky. Boca Raton Bowl, FAU against Tulane. The Frisco Bowl, SMU against Southern Miss. The Crispilla Bowl, Memphis against North Carolina. Bahamas Bowl, Old Dominion against Buffalo. The famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Toledo and Wyoming. The Birmingham Bowl, UCF and Vanderbilt. The Armed Forces Bowl, Army against Temple. The Dollar General Bowl, Ohio against Arkansas State. Hawaii Bowl, North Texas against Fresno State. First Responder Bowl, Indiana and UAB. Quick Lane Bowl, Louisville and Purdue. The Cheez-It Bowl, Iowa State, Oregon. Independence Bowl, Florida State against Houston. Pinstripe Bowl, North Carolina State against Northwestern. Texas Bowl, West Virginia against Missouri. Music City Bowl, South Carolina against Nebraska. Camping World Bowl, Duke against TCU. The Alamo Bowl, Oklahoma State against Utah. Belk Bowl, Virginia Tech against Kentucky. Arizona Bowl, Louisiana Monroe against Utah State. Military Bowl, Wake Forest against Navy. The Hyundai Sun Bowl, Boston College against Stanford. San Francisco Bowl, Minnesota against USC. Liberty Bowl, Texas versus Texas A&M. The Holiday Bowl, Michigan State against Arizona. Gator Bowl, LSU against Virginia. The Outback Bowl, Florida against Iowa. And the Citrus Bowl, Auburn versus Michigan. Next part of this prediction is bold prediction for every team. I'm going to go in ABC order by conference. Well, at least I'll try to. Cincinnati, they'll come close to upsetting one of the better teams in the conference. Connecticut, Randy Edsall will get fired. East Carolina, Scotty Montgomery fired. Houston, Ed Oliver wins the Conference Defensive Player of the Year in a runaway. Memphis, Mike Norvell leaves for a new job. He's going to feel like a hot name out there. Somebody will hire him away from Memphis. Navy beats Army after losing to them the last 2 seasons. SMU won't finish above 500. I have them going 6-6. Temple, they'll upset Maryland. I think it says more about Maryland than it does about Temple personally, because I'm very down on Maryland in the wake of all the turmoil going on there with Jordan McNair passing away and whatnot. Tulane finally makes a bowl game. Tulsa, Philip Montgomery hot seat rumors. UCF, Mackenzie Milton wins ACC Offensive Player of the Year for the 2nd straight year. USF, Charlie Strong rumored for other jobs. ACC, Boston College, A.J. Dillon wins the ACC Offensive Player of the Year. Clemson. Christian Wilkins wins the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Duke. David Cutcliffe rumored for another job. There's always coaches rumored for other jobs, so he'll be one of them. Florida State. People in the media will be second guessing the Willie Taggart hire. I think this team goes 7-5, and there will be people questioning this hire already. Georgia Tech. Paul Johnson hot seat rumors. I don't think Georgia Tech will have a good season, which will lead to hot seat rumors for a coach that I actually like. Louisville will finish above 500. Everybody's down on them. They lost Lamar Jackson. But their schedule sets up nicely for them to go 7-5, and I think Bobby Petrino is a good football coach. Miami. Jaquan Johnson leads the conference in picks. That's going to be an easy call when it's said and done. North Carolina. Larry Fedora fired despite making a bowl game. He's certainly a coach on the hot seat, but I don't think he lasts the year. Well, I should say he gets through the regular season, but he won't coach the bowl game. NC State. Ryan Finley leads the conference in passing yards. Pretty bold call, huh? Pitt. Pat Narduzzi fired. I do not think Pitt will have a good year. Their schedule is hard. I think he has to make a bowl game in order to keep his job. But I have them going, I believe, 2-10 or 3-9. So that won't cut it for Pat Narduzzi. Syracuse. They'll come close to upsetting someone again. Don't forget they upset Clemson a year ago. I'm going to say they'll come close, but they won't get it done this time around. Oh, and they upset Virginia Tech 2 years ago as well. Virginia makes a bowl for the second season in a row. Bronco Mendenhall did a great job last year, and I think he'll make a bowl game again. Virginia Tech. They'll play in a tight, tough, fought-hearted game with Notre Dame, but they'll fall on the short end and come so close to upsetting the Irish. I do believe they can beat the Irish, but I just think the Irish are the better team, even though the game is in Blacksburg. And last but not least, Wake Forest. Dave Clawson hot seat rumors. Yes, Clawson's done a nice job the past few years, but I wouldn't be shocked to hear his name in the hot seat rumor mill. They're now Big Ten. Illinois. Lovie Smith fired. Lovie Smith is on the hot seat, and Indiana won't have a good season, which will lead to the firing of Lovie Smith. Indiana. I think they'll make a bowl game. Their schedule sets up nice for them, and I believe they'll find themselves in a bowl game. Iowa. They'll upset Wisconsin. Iowa tends to upset somebody every year. Yeah, there's the anomaly year in which they made the Rose Bowl and made the Big Ten title game. And then last year they upset Ohio State. And then they picked off Michigan 2 years ago. So this year I think they'll pick off Wisconsin. Maryland. DJ Durkin's situation will be a distraction, which leads to a disastrous season for the program, which leads to DJ Durkin's firing. I do not like how this is going. There's some people that think that Maryland will be a bowl team. I am not one of those people. Michigan. Jim Harbaugh rumored back to the NFL, but ultimately he stays at Michigan until further notice. Michigan State. They'll upset Ohio State and then lose to Nebraska the following week because that feels like something Michigan State would do, and that same thing happened to them 3 years ago. Minnesota. They'll finish with 8 or more wins. This is an underrated team. PJ Fleck is going to do a great job this year, and that schedule for them sets up pretty nicely to win 8 or more games. Nebraska. They'll finish over 500 on the season, but they'll be sub 500 in conference play. That's going to be the case for a lot of teams. Northwestern. Won't finish above 500. I have the Wildcats going 6-6 this year. Ohio State. They'll miss the college football playoff, although the team goes 3-0 in Urban Meyer's absence. Penn State. Trace McSorley will be a Heisman finalist. Purdue. Jeff Brom rumored for other jobs. Brom was just hired, I believe it was 2 years ago. This is going to be his 3rd season at Purdue. And a lot of people like Brom as a coach, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's rumored for other jobs. Rutgers. They won't finish last in their division. Yes, I have them finishing ahead of Maryland. But like I said, this has to do with Maryland more than Rutgers. And Rutgers actually has some favorable home games on their schedule. And I could see them finishing 5-7 as well. But I think they'll go 4-8. But they're lucky that they get to see like Illinois and even Maryland at home. And they have to play Kansas, and then they have an FCS team at home. So there's your 4 wins for Rutgers. And last but not least, Wisconsin. Jonathan Taylor leads the Big Ten in rushing yards. That's a little easy. Big 12. Baylor. They won't make a bowl game for the 2nd straight season. Yes, they'll improve in the win-loss column, but that won't lead them to a bowl game. Iowa State. Matt Campbell leaves for another job. He's done a fine job at Iowa State turning that program around, but somebody is going to steal him from the Cyclones. Kansas. Dave Beatty fired. He is the coach on the hottest seat in the Big 12 as we go into the season. And I believe he'll get axed at some point, whether it's during or after the year, because Kansas is still a joke. Kansas State. Bill Snyder retires at the end of the season. This was rumored to happen for a while now, and I believe this is finally the year it happens. Oklahoma doesn't approach their 10th win of the season until the Big 12 title game. I have them winning the Big 12, but they won't finish the regular season with 10 wins. They'll get their 10th win in that title game. Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy leaves for another job. There's an SEC job that I think will be open next season that Mike Gundy will leave for, and I'll get to that in a couple minutes. Texas. They'll have the best statistical defense in the Big 12. That's an easy call. Their defense is easily the best in the conference. And Todd Orlando is one of the better coordinators in the sport. TCU. They finished 10-2 but lose to OU in the Big 12 title game. So there's some people down on Gary Patterson's team, but I'm not one of those people. Texas Tech. Cliff Kingsbury fired. That's easy. He's been on the hot seat for a long time now, but this is the year that he finally goes. West Virginia. Will Grier, not only does he lead the Big 12 in passing yards, he'll lead the country in passing yards. I'm a big Will Grier fan, and on top of it, I think he'll lead the country in touchdown passes too. And now the question is, does that get him to New York? CUSA, Charlotte, Brett Lambert fired. He's done a good job up until they came to the FBS. FAU, Lane Kiffin leaves for another job. FIU, they'll take a step back. They won't make a bowl game after making one last year. Louisiana Tech doesn't finish above 500, but still makes a bowl, so I have them at 6-6. Marshall, Tyler Brady leads the conference in receiving yards. Middle Tennessee will come very close to upsetting Vanderbilt in week 1, but will lose. North Texas, Mason Fine leads the conference in passing yards. That's easy. Old Dominion, second place in the East. There's people down on Old Dominion. I'm not one of those people. Rice, I'm going to say they'll be competitive in multiple conference games. I like Mike Bloomgren. I like that hire. He did a nice job as offensive coordinator at Stanford. So I could see Rice being competitive in some conference games, even though they don't really have the talent. Southern Miss, Picasso Nelson Jr. leads the conference in interceptions. UAB, they'll win the West Division over North Texas. UTEP, their only win will be against Northern Arizona in week 1. And then they'll be garbage the rest of the year. UTSA, they will not upset Baylor for a second season in a row. I think they'll come short there, even though they are hosting Baylor. Western Kentucky, they'll come close to upsetting Louisville, but will fall short. Independence, Army, Jeff Monken rumored for other jobs. I like Monken, and he's done a good job with this Army program the last few years, so I believe he'll be rumored for another job. BYU, they'll finish 6-6, but they might not even make a bowl game. Liberty, they'll win more than one game in their first year in the FBS. Massachusetts finally makes a bowl game after a pretty big drought. New Mexico State, Doug Martin rumored for other jobs. Notre Dame, they'll be 11-0, then lose to USC the final weekend of the regular season. That cost them a college football playoff spot. The MAC, Terry Bowden hot seat rumors for Akron. Ball State, Mike Neo hot seat rumors. Bowling Green, Mike Jinks fired. Buffalo, Anthony Johnson leads the conference in receiving yards. Central Michigan, John Bonamego hot seat rumors. Eastern Michigan, Max Crosby leads the conference in sacks. Kent State only wins one game, and that'll be against an FCS team. Miami of Ohio won't make a bowl game. Northern Illinois wins the West Division. Ohio, Nathan Rourke leads the conference in passing yards. Toledo, Jason Candle rumored for other jobs. Western Michigan won't make a bowl game. The Mountain West, Air Force will upset Navy at home. Boise State will lose 2 games by less than 10 points combined. And they'll go 10-2 and then win the Mountain West title game and go 11-2. Colorado State, E.J. Carter-Samuels leads the conference in passing yards. Fresno State, Jeff Tedford rumored for other jobs. Hawaii, Nick Rolovich hot seat talk. Nevada, Damian Bader leads the conference in interceptions. New Mexico, Bob Davie fired. And I like Bob Davie too, but he did not have a good year last year, and I don't think he's going to have a good year this year, which will lead to a firing. UNLV, Tony Sanchez hot seat chatter. I think it sets up nice for them to make a bowl. But if they don't get to a bowl, look for Tony Sanchez to be among those coaches on the hot seat. Utah State will close to upsetting somebody, but will fall short. San Diego State will win the Western Division over Fresno State. San Jose State, they'll win one game all year, and that'll be against an FCS school. Pac-12, Arizona. Kevin Sumlin wins Pac-12 Coach of the Year, despite not winning the South Division, because I have Arizona going 9-3. Arizona State. There'll be Herm Edwards hot seat talk already. I do not think Arizona State's going to have a good year at all. They have talent, but they have a hard schedule, and I was not a fan of the Herm Edwards hire. Cal. They'll come close to pulling off an upset over somebody, but will fall short. Colorado. They'll have a top 3 defense in the conference, and bonus prediction, they'll make a bowl game. Oregon. Justin Herbert leads the conference in passing yards. That's easy. Although you can make a case for Khalil Tate and Jake Browning, and even JT Daniels out of USC. Oregon State. They'll give somebody a scare in Corvallis. I just don't know who it's going to be. Stanford. Bryce Love leads the country in rushing yards. Now the question is, does that get him to New York? Utah wins the South Division. USC will finish the season unranked. UCLA will not make a bowl game, but upset USC. Washington will win the conference despite a 1-2 start. Wazoo, they'll make a bowl game despite low expectations. Alabama, Tua Tagovailoa wins the Heisman Trophy. There you go. There's my Heisman winner, Tua Tagovailoa. And joining him in New York will be Brandon Wimbush out of Notre Dame and Trace McSorley out of Penn State. And my 4th and 5th place picks in the Heisman are Will Grier from West Virginia 4 and Bryce Love from Stanford 5th. And I think it'll be a close race the whole year, but I think Tua Tagovailoa ultimately will win this because I have Alabama going undefeated on the season. And they're the number 1 team in the country. Arkansas. They'll miss a bowl game in Chad Morris's first year as coach. Auburn. Derek Brown leads the conference in sacks. Florida. Florida will be outwinned by Dan Mullen's former team, Mississippi State. I have Florida winning 7 games and Mississippi State winning 9. So, although Dan Mullen will be a great hire long term and they'll be a better program than Mississippi State long term, but I think Mississippi State will have a better year at least this year. Because they have a quarterback advantage and an easier schedule. Georgia. We'll have 2 losses on the season, and both of them will come to the hands of their conference rival, the Alabama Crimson Tide. They'll lose to them in the conference title game, and they'll lose to them again in the college football playoff. Kentucky. Ben Snell leads the conference in rushing yards. You can make a case for some other guys like Damian Harris from Alabama, the kid from Georgia you can argue for too. But my pick to lead the SEC in rushing is Benny Snell. LSU. Ed Orgeron on fire, Nate, and then they hire Mike Gundy away from Oklahoma State. There you go. There's your bold prediction. That involved Mike Gundy. Mississippi State will make the Sugar Bowl. That's bold. I have them finishing ahead of Auburn, courtesy of a tiebreaker. I think Mississippi State beats Auburn head-to-head this year. Both teams will finish 9-3. But the committee will recognize Mississippi State for their win over Auburn. We'll put them ahead of Auburn in the final rankings. It'll go Mississippi State, then Auburn, then Washington. as Mississippi State will face off against Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl. Ole Miss will almost upset Alabama. They face Alabama in their home field, and they'll come close to upsetting the Tide, but won't. South Carolina, Deebo Samuel leads the conference in receiving yards. I think that's easy. Tennessee won't make a bowl game despite a new coaching hire, Jeremy Pruitt. There's too much turmoil going on, and they have a hard schedule. I don't see them getting the 6 wins. Texas A&M will come close to upsetting Clemson week 2. Remember, Auburn came darn close to upsetting Clemson week 1 2 years ago? I think it's going to be something similar to that. Jimbo Fisher knows this Clemson team from when he was the head coach at Florida State. So I think he'll have his team prepared for that game. They'll come darn close to upsetting Clemson, but ultimately they'll fall short. Vanderbilt, expectations are low, but I think they'll make a bowl game. All right, the Sun Belt. Appalachian State. Clinton Duck leads the conference in interceptions. Arkansas State, Justice Hansen leads the conference in passing yards. Coastal Carolina fires Joe Moglia. Georgia Southern wins the Eastern Division. Georgia State, Penny Hart leads the conference in receiving yards. Louisiana makes a bowl game despite a hard schedule. UL Monroe makes a bowl game for the first time in a long time. South Alabama does not make a bowl game. Texas State will win 1 game all year. And Troy will almost upset Boise State in week 1. The game is on their home turf, but ultimately Boise's the better team, and I see them winning that game in a close one. All right, that's it for the College Football Bowl Predictions podcast. I just can't wait for the season to get started, and I'll be doing Guess the Lines every week. For college football, I'll be doing it for NFL too, but week 1 is just going to be college, and then the Monday after that will be week 2 in college and week 1 NFL. So it should be very fun season. I'll be doing bowl projections throughout the season. I'll be doing a lot of fun stuff and in the Heisman lists and whatnot. So it should be a fun season in college football. I hope you guys have a great day.